So Mabel and I have been watching the Sex and the City reboot and just like that every week. And even though it's nowhere near as good as the original, and I really miss Samantha, and it's very heavy-handed in the woke commentary and plot lines, I do really enjoy watching it just to see some of the characters that we love so much again.
Yeah, so we're on season 3 now, and I do feel like the season is a lot better than the first two because they have, like, all the characters have settled into kind of the new rebrand that the show has given them. Like, I feel like everyone was hate watching seasons 1 and 2 because they were killing off characters and, like, changing sexualities, and it was just, like, so much world building that was kind of, like, cringy and thrown at us. And now it feels, like, more settled. I'm actually enjoying watching it and not just, like, hate watching it.
I guess for me, it depends on the episode because like Miranda's nun plot line like
That, yeah.
was really painful. Carrie going to Virginia to see Aiden's house and like dressing up like a country girl, like really couldn't stand that. But then there'll be like good episodes.
And I feel like a show like this is nice just because when we were watching Sex and the City originally, we were like in high school and college, and it was showing this like cool life of women living in New York in their 30s. So it kind of romanticized that age and made us like excited to do that one day. So it is nice to have a show romanticizing life of women that are cool and like in their 60s, even though like obviously sometimes the show kind of botches itself like for no reason.
Yeah, are you following the like outrage this week? So I guess we in this most recent episode, Lisa's dad died and she was so sad. But then in season 1, she has a line where she's talking to Charlotte and she's like, yeah, it was so hard when my dad died.
Literally, like, what?
But then I guess her dad was in a scene in season 2 and now he's dead again. So he was dead, brought back to life, and now he's dead again.
It's like insane because this is such a huge production. It's HBO. It's like these mega huge stars. It's the storyline of a new character. So there's not that much that you have to sift through.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like fact check, please.
No, it's so sloppy. But HBO did put out a press release saying that the dad who had died in the first season was her stepdad.
Oh no.
Even though she didn't say stepdad, she said dad.
The justification
But, like,
is like psychotic.
And it's such an easy thing to be like, no, that was her stepdad. Like, okay,
Duh,
well,
didn't
great.
you guys know that?
She's never mentioned her stepdad, but that's cool.
And diving into And Just Like That was really exciting for us just because we've been in the Sex and the City like mindset a lot recently because Newsgirls actually hosted an event with the original Carrie Bradshaw, the creator of Sex and the City, Candace Bushnell, with this dating app called First Rounds on Me a couple months ago.
And that was so cool to get to meet her and get to hear her stories. And then we got to dive in even more because Candace Bushnell has her own one-woman show where she literally just, it's the origin of Sex in the City and like how everything came to be.
And now as a part of this segment, we actually got to interview Candace Bushnell on Sex in the City, how she came up with Carrie Bradshaw and what she thinks of And Just Like That.
You are the original Carrie Bradshaw, and you started writing Sex in the City as a newspaper column about your dating experiences in New York. So first, we were wondering what inspired you to create Carrie as an alter ego instead of just writing first person.
I was already writing about women, money, power, sex, status in New York City since the 80s. I went to a sex club for the first article, and then my mother called me and said, oh, we're going to be reading the column every week. We got a subscription to the New York Observer.
Oh no.
And my parents are very conservative, so I thought I've got to come up with some way of disguising myself a little bit. So that was how I came up with the name Carrie Bradshaw.
And did they buy it? Did they think it was like a friend of yours?
Probably not, but we never discussed it. So
That's
it was
good.
fine.
We know you were pretty involved like in the beginning of Sex and the City when it turned into a show. Can you kind of tell us about what that was like?
I had very little to do with the casting, but I know that Darren was interested in Sarah Jessica Parker. She was a very well-respected actress. You know, she was mostly in movies. I worked in the writer's room for the first 2 seasons. So that's where they figure out the scripts and the stories and that kind of stuff.
And what was that like? Like, did you enjoy it? Like, that's such a different, like,
okay, it's
group of people.
fine. It's, you know, it's like it's a group thing. As a novelist, it's
Yeah.
something that's really anathema to me. Writing with other people is kind of strange, but that's how they do every single TV show.
Digging more into your life and your experiences, we have a little true or false section of rumors that we heard about you that you can say true or false. You went on a date with the actor who plays Aiden.
Yes, that's true.
Oh,
John Corbett.
yep.
We went, and my mother did not like Aiden. She
Well.
liked Mr. Big. And I just kept thinking like, oh God, if something happens, my mother's going to be really upset because she never liked Aiden.
Our next true or false, Charlotte wasn't based off of a real person. She wasn't a real friend of yours and was actually invented by HBO.
No, Charlotte was in the book, but she was an English journalist. Darren Star, he'd worked with Christian Davis in the past, and he originally was thinking about Christian Davis being Carrie Bradshaw, and
Oh.
she was like, "Oh, I'm not right for this." So he, kind of created that part.
And how did you feel about the Charlotte that was created in the show? Because I remember reading an interview where you kind of said that you and your friends at the time wouldn't have been friends with someone like Charlotte.
That's probably true.
So the next true or false, you once went on a date with a 21-year-old and a 91-year-old in the same week.
Yes, that is true.
Whoa.
That's true. During Fashion Week a couple of years ago, I met this, hot 21-year-old guy. We went to dinner, and then there was like he was like 91 at the time. Yes, he was like after me too. And I was like, this is so strange.
The best of both worlds, really.
Exactly. Or, the worst of both worlds. Neither one of them's appropriate. So
And then our last true or false, we were just really curious about this. You love cosmopolitans.
that's true. I
Okay.
still drink one occasionally.
We do
So
too. When we
that's,
go
that's
out,
Yeah.
true.
we often get a Cosmo.
Yes, yes. Well, you guys also probably get, oh God, what are those espresso martinis?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
those
that's
are
like the
big.
next iteration of it. It feels that way.
And so we have to ask you about Mr. Big. And I remember growing up always thinking I want to find my Mr. Big, but there's a lot of online discourse these days that Carrie and Mr. Big's relationship was pretty toxic and that obviously she blew past a lot of red flags. We know Mr. Big was based on a real relationship that you had. And when you look back
Yes.
on that, do you think has your perception changed of how you think about that relationship?
Uh, no, because I didn't continue that relationship. I mean, it is a little bit funny to kind of look back on the TV show because, there are a lot of times when Carrie's definitely pursuing Mr. Big. Like in real life, Carrie and Mr. Big probably wouldn't have ended up together, but it's a TV show. I mean, he's a little bit of the ungettable guy. And
Yeah.
my advice to women is you have to be with the person who's interested in you. And the
Yeah.
person who's interested in you is probably not Mr. Big.
You're single and in New York City now. So what are some of the big things that have just like struck you that are really different now and kind of that just haven't changed even all of this time later?
Well, I just did a story in New York Magazine about dating over 60. So, I mean, the reality is that women have changed a lot because women can now earn their own money and, they don't need a man to buy a house. At one time you did, so a lot of things have changed financially and educationally for women, and men have not really changed that much. So what I see is a lot of women turning away from heterosexual relationships, just, you know, not finding them satisfying. These guys are not, they're not reliable. I mean, that's the thing that I find too, is that it's very hard to connect with somebody. And it used to feel very easy. But, everybody's in their own world, with technology, etc.
And do you have any affiliation with and just like that beyond the characters?
I don't, but they give me a credit, and obviously there's There's, some money. But you know what? I like the show. I actually like it a
Okay.
lot. I do like this season.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good. I loved when Seema was like hate dating. Because it's
Yeah.
like fun. Carrie goes down to see Aiden. I don't know. I thought it was good. I really like it. I'm really enjoying it.